Hi guys, today from Dubai I have a very special guest with me today again after roughly 18 months. Last time we saw each other with José Cordeiro, Professor José Cordeiro, one of the, I would say, most inspiring, most influential people in longevity expert, author of the book The Death of Death. International bestseller. We have 3 editions already here, but there are more, right? There are more editions. Last time we saw each other, I think there were only 2. There was Spanish, English. Now it's much more. Jose, what changed in these 18 months in longevity?
Yeah, actually many things have happened since we last met to talk about longevity. One of the things I'm more excited about is the creation of the X Prize for longevity. It is officially called Rejuvenation Health Span X Prize because it's financed mostly by the Revolution Foundation in Saudi Arabia and is managed by the X Prize, and it is about health span. There are already 600 teams participating, and the goal is that by the year 2030 we should be able to begin rejuvenating 10 years at least, 10 years by the year 2030. And the price is big, it's $101 million, and the Evolution Foundation has lots more money. They have $20 billion. So lots of money are going to be coming into the field. Also, Altos Labs, that had just been founded about 3 years ago, finally is beginning to show some results. Altos Labs has behind them Yuri Milner from Russia, Jeff Bezos from the USA, from Amazon, and some other billionaires who also want to rejuvenate. So I think that the field has more interest, more big names, more resources, more money, and this should accelerate. We keep on with 2 magic dates, 2030 for longevity escape velocity. That means if we make it to 2030, we should be able to rejuvenate and live long enough to live forever. And the year 2045, we can change our age. If you want to be 20, if you want to be 40, if you want to be 60, I don't recommend that, or to be 80. But if you want to become younger, you will be able to do that by 2045.
Okay, but let's explain one basic thing. Rejuvenation technology is the key for generally immortality. Why? Can you explain it in 2 sentences? Why is it the key to immortality?
Well, and first of all, the Nobel Prize in Medicine of the year 2012 was awarded to a Japanese scientist, Shinya Yamanaka, who discovered that there are 4 genes in mammals like us that you can adjust and change the age. And so he got the Nobel Prize. He was able to rejuvenate cells, single cells. In 2020, another scientist, David Sinclair, and his team at Harvard University rejuvenated organs, the eyes of old mice. And now scientists are working on other organs and on other animals. So the key is to rejuvenate, because we want to live indefinitely, but not indefinitely old. We want to live indefinitely young. And we know that rejuvenation is possible. You only need to change a few genes and become younger.
Okay, and then you can reapply if you can. So that's why X Prize is like 10 years rejuvenation, but it means after 10 years you still can maybe reapply and get back to the age that you were before, and so on and so on.
Yes.
So it's like never-ending story.
Absolutely. Right? Because your story, our story will be never-ending. If we live indefinitely, it will be never-ending, and we can rejuvenate again and change our biological age, which is so important.
In our conversation before, you told me you are an immortalist. Can you explain to the audience what it means, and what are the different types or groups of people?
Yeah, I like to say there are only 2 types of people: those who want to die and those who don't want to die. those who don't want to die, like myself, we are immortalists because we want to live indefinitely for as long as we want. And those who want to die, I call them deathists. The deathists people who will die. And actually, eventually, they will disappear because they will die. And then the people like us who don't want to die, we will keep on living indefinitely young. So we are the immortalists. And the future of humanity will be for the immortalists.
Okay, we want to make it very practical, this recording. So can you give us maybe 1, 2, 3 new services that got created, that appeared in the last, let's say, 18 months or 2, 3 years that you would recommend for rejuvenation or longevity, whatever?
Well, the quickest thing is to read my book. Okay, in The Death of Death, in any language, we are updating with some of the new things happening. But some of the new things really are, for example, senolytics. Now you can buy some products that eliminate all cells in the body. You don't want all cells in your body, so this is called senolytics. So this is finally being experimented in humans. Results are good. So I think in 1 to 2 years, you should be able to go to a pharmacy and to buy, oh, give me some senolytics. I want senolytics. I don't want to have old cells.
But right now it's like a treatment that you get in special clinics, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Also, rapamycin. Rapamycin has shown to extend the lifespan of animals, mostly dogs and cats, 50%. So if you take rapamycin, give it to your dogs, also you will see how they live longer. And now there are some biohackers, human biohackers, that are using rapamycin as well. I think in very soon, 1, 2, 3 years, we will have enough data from enough biohackers to prove that this works. And also, again, it's not that expensive. Another thing that I have been taking myself for 5 years is metformin. Metformin is a drug for diabetic people, but it was discovered that it is not only good to keep under control diabetes, but also it makes you live longer. And it is also very cheap. It's like 1 cent per pill. So I take metformin. I plan to take rapamycin in 1 to 2 years. I also plan to take some senolytics in 1 to 2 years. So many new things are happening.
Okay, great. We were talking before that recording about measuring your body, right? Because generally, you know, I'm into billionaires, and billionaire mindset is if you want to improve something, you need to measure it. You can't measure, you can improve anything that you don't measure. So what would be, let's say, 3 body metrics or maybe blood metrics, whatever, that you would look at for longevity the most? I mean, what are the most important things that if you would go into biohacking, whatever, to control in terms of longevity?
Yes. Well, this is very important because we need to measure how we are doing internally, biologically. So last year, I was a couple of times with Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson, which is probably one of the most, if not the most famous biohacker, he also says he's the most measured person in the history of the world. He measures all his body organs continuously, as much as possible. He does blood tests continuously, glucose monitoring continuously, even bedtime erections. He puts like 2 little cylinders around his penis to know how he's doing in terms of erections at night. And he says publicly that he has bedtime erections of someone who is about age 18, which is about 4 hours of erections at night. But anyway, so he has developed a protocol to do all of this. But what would I measure normally? Well, first you need to do blood measurements every 3 months if possible, because then you can take some actions if you have some problems with cholesterol or some problems with hemoglobin or anything. So blood tests, fundamental. Also, but regularly, you know, every 3 months, not every year or every 2 years, so that you can measure most of the things happening in your body. A new thing that has appeared now is what is called biological clocks. These biological clocks began in 2013 with a German scientist, Steve Horvath, and they can compute the age of your organs. And this is fascinating. I have been doing this also to know the age of my organs, because all organs don't age the same way. And the problem is if your heart is age 80 and your brain is 20, but the problem is you are going to die of a heart attack, or vice versa. If you have a brain which is age 80 and a heart which is age 20, you will die because of your brain. So we need to take precautions about all of our organs. So there are companies beginning to do this, age of your organs.
Can you name some names of the companies? Do you know? I mean,
yes, the one that uses Brian Johnson is called True Diagnostic. True Diagnostic, they are relatively good. This is again new, so there is a lot of competition, a lot of players. But I like that, and I also like the Clock Foundation. Clock, like a clock, Foundation, and True Diagnostic. These are two companies that allow you to know the biological age of your body.
Okay, are they global or are they in America or?
Yes, this is beginning in the USA. So I did the test in the USA, but I think they are beginning to ship internationally. I'm not sure. But anyway, this will happen in 1 year, 2 years, because people want to stay young and people want to know their health. So if it is not global yet, it will be soon. And Dubai here is a fantastic place for this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you were talking about the new developments in supplements or in services. What about the stuff that we can supplementing that we can supplement now? What would you say are the most important supplements for longevity?
Yeah,
that are available and common sense, most sensible.
Well, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an engineer from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
We have to say, this is not a medical advice. This
Absolutely.
is just, we fantasizing about longevity. Right?
That's right. And also, there are many different protocols and people who make it public. Like I mentioned, Brian Johnson. Another one, I'll name two more. A medical doctor, very famous, Peter Attia. Peter Attia also has made his protocol public. And another one who is a biologist, not a doctor, but a very important biologist from Harvard University, David Sinclair. So David Sinclair has his protocol, Peter Attia has his protocol, Brian Johnson has his protocol that he calls Blueprint. I don't have a protocol. I take a little bit of everything in there. So I do take certain supplements, in fact, and I take products like metformin, as I said, even though I am not diabetic. But the statistical proof is that metformin makes people live longer, statistically. You might be on the wrong side of the statistics, an outlier on the wrong side, because there might be also cases where people reject some of these therapies. We are humans and every human is different. But anyway, statistically speaking, metformin is good. I take it. I take some NAD plus precursors. There are many. Actually, these you can buy in internet. And I also take coenzyme Q10, which is also fairly available, fairly cheap, and it gives good results. And a few other things, resveratrol, even though science continuously improve, and now resveratrol might not be so important, but rapamycin I plan to take in 1 or 2 years, because the proof with animals is so positive, so incredible, that we should do it. Because if it is good for your dog or for your cat, it might be good for you too. So anyway, yes, I do take some supplements. I try to continuously monitor my body, analysis as much as I can, and I will begin experimenting with some gene therapies like Brian Johnson or my other biohacker friend Liz Parrish. Liz Parrish, actually, she has been doing gene therapy in her body. that she cannot do in the USA or in Europe. So many of these people go to some place in the Caribbean. There are some Caribbean islands with doctors. But again, these therapies are not yet allowed by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, or in Europe, the European EMA, which also controls all the products. So anyway, I have gone to Honduras, to the Caribbean, and I have seen Brian Johnson, and I have seen my friend Liz Parrish with some gene therapies that I plan to take maybe also in 1 to 2 years. One is myostatin. Myostatin is to make basically your muscles grow without doing exercise. Many people have seen some rabbits or some mice or some cows or some pigs that have muscles everywhere. That is because of this therapy, myostatin, that eventually lets your muscles grow. And it's fantastic, according to what we see in animals. And humans have begun taking it. Both Brian Johnson and Liz Parrish have taken myostatin, and I plan to, also because now it's expensive. Things, when they begin, they are very expensive, but when they become more popular, they become cheap.
Yeah,
so
that's why we need billionaires, because they are usually the first adopters. They sponsor the research, right? I mean, by buying these expensive therapies and so on, they actually drive the development. Right?
Absolutely, and it is good for them. And for everybody. Yeah. When Liz Parrish, she was the first person who took telomerase therapy that makes her telomeres grow, which is the final part of the chromosomes. When she took it in 2015, 16, 8, 9 years ago, it cost $1.5 million. Right now, it is less than 100,000, but in 5 years it will be 10,000, and in 10, 15 years it will be $1,000 or euros. So because people will be taking this, and the cost will come down radically. So because I don't plan to die this year, next year, or in 5 years, I am waiting for the prices to come down. Also, we will have more information, and it will be cheaper. It will be available for everybody.
So you started talking about the treatments, because supplementing is one thing and treatments is another thing. You say gene therapies. What about stem cells therapies, or what other, let's say, longevity therapies would you consider sensible?
Yeah, stem cells are fantastic. In fact, there are animals that have their body full of stem cells, and they keep on growing. And some salamanders, for example, they have so many stem cells all their lives that you cut, their tail, they grow them back. Or a lobster keeps on growing because they are full of stem cells. So yes, the stem cells are important. We know from sports people, football players, whatever, if they injure their elbow, their knee, their shoulders, whatever, they inject themselves with stem cells. Again, this was very, very expensive. Now it's expensive, soon it will be cheap. Why? Because some of these stem cells will be applicable to different people. Right now, they have to be for one person. Actually, from your own stem cells, which are being depleted, but you can try to grow them back. But there are scientists working on producing stem cells that could be basically available to everybody. The same type of stem cells, universal stem cells in a way. So this is really serious, and I think it will be available in 5 to 10 years. So that will make these therapies dirty cheap, because everybody will have access to these stem cells.
What about transfusions? I mean, what kind of transfusions are possible and sensible today in the area of longevity? And what is the outlook, what you say?
Yes, this is also very important. Sometimes it's called young blood, and people say that in Silicon Valley, many billionaires, they have their blood boys. Well, it is true. Young blood has good things, and old blood has some bad things. So we don't know exactly all the things, but we will know, because blood is not a magic, it's not a secret. We can analyze our blood. Anyway, what is being done now is a blood transfusion or just plasma transfusions, because the blood also has your white cells, red cells, platelets, but the plasma has many things which are good when you are young. So you can actually get plasma from younger people, or you can clean your own plasma, which is also cheaper, because if you do plasma transfusions or young blood transfusions, we are talking about between $5,000 to $10,000 or euros per treatment. If we clean our own plasma, which is your blood, you take it out, it's like a dialysis machine to clean your own blood. This is much cheaper. It could be only 500 instead of 5,000 or 10,000, 500. So, but again, I'm so excited because we are discovering what is good and what is bad in different blood components. So this will be dirty cheap in 5 to 10 years. So please, my number one advice, as Brian Johnson says, don't die. Don't die. Hold on at least until 2030, when we reach longevity escape velocity, and we will have these therapies available basically for everybody, almost for free.
Okay. As I said, we want to stay very practical. So is there any, I would say, maybe medical centers that stand out and that are publicly available, not very, only for very selected group of people, just, for everybody who comes with money and wants to get a treatment, or maybe the medical centers that specialize for longevity have a wide range of services, whatever. What would you recommend? Could you give some recommendations of?
Yes, this is also exploding. I have visited already maybe about 30 longevity clinics. First in the USA, because again, in a way, scientifically, this began in the USA. The first one, big one, was and is Human Longevity Inc. It was born in San Diego, California. It was founded by friends like Peter Diamandis and Craig Venter. And that was, about 15 years ago. That was the first scientific longevity clinic. After that, in California, now there is a new group, also led by Peter Diamandis and Tony Robbins, out of Florida first, which is Fountain Life. They have different yearly memberships. They do everything. They scan your body. They do MRIs. They do all the blood work, genome sequencing, telomere sequencing, and all of that. Their plans go between $5,000 to $25,000 now. Again, this will get much cheaper. Now this is becoming global. And for example, in Madrid, where I live, there are 3 longevity clinics. In southern Spain, there are about 5 other longevity clinics. Here in Dubai, I have been to 4 longevity clinics. In Abu Dhabi, 1. I also visited one in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. So there are many longevity clinics. They are the same and they are different. Each one has something special about them, or so they say. But that is okay. I mean, this industry is just beginning. This is like internet in the 1990s. Many excitement, many things, and then some of those internet companies disappeared. And the stronger ones, the best ones, they consolidated, and some took smaller ones. I see the same happening in longevity clinics. There are good ones and better ones, and some bad ones. But in good places, here in Dubai or in Europe or the USA, they have their standard. Somehow, maybe I couldn't go to an island somewhere lost in the middle of the ocean. It might be more dubious. We don't know. But anyway, my point is that this is consolidating in the next 5 years. So there will be standard, accepted treatments in most longevity clinics in the world very soon. But if you are over 60, I recommend that you do go already to a longevity clinic, because you will also learn a lot about you, and also your artificial intelligence. You will have a digital twin, and also you will gather information. Actually, I don't have my ring. you know, those kind of rings, Aura ring, Samsung ring, whatever, because it is important to know your own data historically. So anyway, yes, there are longevity clinics. There will be more, and then there will be consolidation of the best.
Okay, is there any website that I can check, you know, for to find the next or the nearest longevity clinic, maybe also with some quality scores, whatever? Is there any service like that?
Yeah, this is being created, in fact, because people are saying, you know, we need to have some standards. We cannot compare, you know, I don't want to name anyone.
Cosmetics with
also,
longevity.
but this is also important. Cosmetics is so much bigger than longevity now, and cosmetics doesn't really make you live longer. It makes you look maybe younger, but it doesn't rejuvenate you. So that is why longevity is just beginning, because the cosmetics industry now is maybe 1,000 times bigger than the longevity industry. But longevity actually rejuvenates you from inside, from inside out, not just cosmetics. Anyway, so yeah, about 3 years ago, there is a global society which is called the Healthy Longevity Medicine Society. They are gathering all the doctors working on longevity throughout the world and their clinics, and they are working on standards, minimum standards of everything: safety, precaution, results, and all of that. So this is again evolving, but it's moving fast, I think, because patients, clients, we want results. I want them too. So I am optimistic. This is when we have the next interview, maybe 18 months, 24 months, we will probably have already very good standards about all of this everywhere.
Okay, great. In the conversation before, you were talking me about a friend of yours having this project of putting longevity into everybody's house, more or less, like in every home there should be a longevity lab. So this sounds inspiring. This sounds something new. What would you say are the 2 or 3 projects that most inspire you going forward in longevity for the next several years?
Well, just yesterday with my friend Dr. Dana Marduk, we visited a clinic here in Dubai where they have a mirror. You look yourself into the mirror, you touch it, it computes even the humidity of your body, how you are doing. It's like toilets. In the toilet, in the morning, when you go to the toilet will tell you, oh you ate too much salt or too much sugar yesterday. So you need to change this today. It will compute also how you are looking physically, parameters like, as I mentioned, blood pressure, glucose levels, and moisture in your skin. This is incredible, and everybody should have that in their homes. Like, you have a toilet? Well, that toilet should be intelligent, because that toilet now is a stupid toilet.
Yeah, instead of having these Japanese toilets with some gimmicks,
yes,
actually to have some toilet that gives you
all the information.
Right?
And artificial intelligence will allow us to have that information and to monitor it continuously, which is important. So we are going into
your toilet. This will be the motto. Your toilet will become your spring of youth, right?
Yes, your fountain of youth, of course. It will tell you, you know, what you should not eat anymore. If you ate asparagus, maybe asparagus is bad for you. Because also something very important that people are beginning to understand, we have a lot of bacteria all over our body, you know, in our skin, in our mouths, in our nose, and especially in our intestines. We have more bacteria cells in our intestines than we have human cells in our bodies. We have different bodies and we have different parents, so we might have certain inherited conditions. Like some people are very careful about their hearts or about Alzheimer's, Parkinson's diseases, but also things like milk. Some people are intolerant to milk. And I lived 3 years in Japan, and the Japanese people, many people are intolerant to milk or gluten. Many things. So anyway, our bodies are different, so we need to know our bodies. Not the doctor should know our bodies. We ourselves should know our bodies. But again, artificial intelligence will help us with that. Artificial intelligence will be everywhere. It will be in your toilet, in my toilet. So we will know how we ate and how we are feeling, and our bacteria. Our bacteria is very important, how the bacteria in our bodies react to the food we eat. That is also why we get sick when we travel sometimes and we eat different food. Our bodies are not accustomed, especially our bacteria.
I understand. Jose, many thanks for your wisdom, for your time, and for your inspiration. You bring so much value. What is your view about, because we started talking about artificial intelligence supporting longevity. On the other hand, you are a libertarian person, privacy and so on. So how do you see the conflict between privacy of your data and artificial intelligence? How do you resolve it, maybe for yourself? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, this is a very complicated issue. I don't have an answer because when the genome sequence began a few years ago, some of my students said, I don't want to have my genome sequenced. And then I told them, oh, if I touch you, if I take a little hair from you, I can sequence your genome. So what is the privacy of your genome? Zero. Or what will the privacy of your brain be with devices like Neuralink? Neuralink will be able to read some of your mind. So it's incredible. So there is no easy answer. A friend of mine at Columbia University, Rafael Yuste, he is the leader of the Human Brain Project. Human Brain Project is a US initiative to read the brain, to understand the brain, and also to have neuro rights, because your brain should have rights not to be read, not to be implanted information. So this is a new field. Also in law, it's a new legal field issue. If I can read your brain, so it's complicated. There is no easy answer, but I think we will adapt and we will find the right solutions for everybody. So I am optimistic about that, because I think technology makes us live longer, better, healthier lives, and so we just have to look at these details.
Okay, to just resolve the minutiae, right?
Yes.
Details. Jose, many thanks again for the wisdom. What would be the first of all, what is the topic that we didn't talk about that you would like to speak about, and maybe a final message to our viewers, to our listeners? What would you like the people to take away from this from this video, from this recording?
Well, we didn't talk about what I call Plan B. I do explain it in the book. In the book, actually, if you can see, the book and the tie go together. The Death of Death. Also, I have it in English, in Spanish. I have ties also in Spanish, in Chinese. I am donated the royalties of the book to scientific investigation research. So if you buy the book, not only you will not die, and this is guaranteed. If you read the book, you will not die, or your money back. This is a bad joke, because not many dead people have come back for their 20 euros. But anyway, so the book is about Plan A, which is immortality. I believe immortality is within our reach in the next few years. But not everybody will make it. And for these people, we have Plan B. Plan B is cryopreservation. And you might have heard about Walt Disney being frozen. It is not true that he was frozen, but there are hundreds of people frozen. In fact, in Spain, I coordinated 3 patients being cryonically suspended, 3. There are hundreds of people in the world that are frozen, to put it that way, to be reanimated in the future. We believe, people working on these ideas, that in 30 years we should be able to reanimate people. So we didn't talk about that, but that's plan B. Plan A is don't die, don't die. Because we are in between the last mortal generation and the first immortal generation. If you stay healthy, if you stay alive for the next 10 years, a bit more, a bit less, we will live long enough to live forever and to rejuvenate you in the future. So please don't die.
Talking about the plan B, it's called, of course, cryonics, and this is reality. I mean, this is not a fantasy. You can subscribe to a service. There are many services in the world, and it's not very expensive, especially if you are a young person. It's a kind of insurance.
Yes, it is paid by insurance. Indeed, there are centers in several countries. The 3 patients from Spain last year, they are in a new facility in Zurich, north of Zurich in Switzerland, and you can only cryopreserve your brain or your whole body. And it is not that expensive. Actually, there are some funerals which are much more expensive, like the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Her funeral was £1.5 million. So it is not cheap to die either. But if you die, please get frozen. Get at least your brain, and it is not expensive. Actually, women know this because many women freeze their eggs. This is a standard medical procedures. Well, standard for the last half a century ago, this did not exist. But now many women freeze their eggs. Men, we don't freeze our sperm because we produce a lot of sperm all the time, so we don't need to, like women. But there are not only frozen eggs, there are frozen embryos, which are little humans, frozen embryos. There are frozen corneas, there are frozen ovaries, and some other small organs. So we know this works, and it is a matter of time until we can reanimate people who are frozen, or at least their brains, to put in a different body.
Yeah, I want to put it also in a historic perspective, because this is kind of a long time human dream of this coming back alive. Already pharaohs were put into these cocoons, into, how do you call them?
Yeah, in vessels. Yeah, there were 5 organs that the Egyptians kept. Funny enough, they didn't keep the brain. They threw away the brain, which is the most important part of the body, the brain. But they kept the heart, they kept the stomach, and so on. But
so they were hoping to come back to life. Also, you know, in the Christian tradition, there is this myth, or let's say this message of Jesus Christ coming back to life again. But we in our generation can actually make it, or we are at least doing the first step probably right, and have the chance to really experiencing it, of coming back to life. And I want also to, because there are some of crypto people on my channel, also a person who is the first candidate for. He's suspected of being Satoshi Nakamoto, Halfini. He was cryopreserved.
Yes.
And he is considered by many people as the new Messias and so on. So he may come back actually to life and save the humanity with Bitcoin.
Yeah, actually, Halfini, I had the pleasure to be in contact with him because he was also a transhumanist. Who believed in humans evolving, transcending the limitations of the human body and becoming more than human, superhumans if you want. And yes, he could be Nakamoto himself, we don't know. But anyway, please read The Death of Death so that you don't die, guaranteed. Or if you die, call us and we will get you frozen.
Okay. See you. That's it from Dubai for today. Thanks so much, Jose. See you next time, probably, maybe Buenos Aires, right?
Yes, yes. Live long and prosper, my friends.